Hey, what's up guys? Orson here. I wanted to make this video because a couple of months ago, I decided to quit my full-time job. I was a mechanic for full-time, and I decided to quit and become self-employed. And then I've been on this crazy journey for the past, I think like 2.5, almost 3 months now. Um, I started a junk removal company. I named it, at first, I actually named it DFW Clutter Busters, but I quickly realized, that's not very SEO optimized. It really wasn't ranking well. And so I thought, while the company is still fresh, I'm going to rename it. So I named my company GPTX Junk Removal. And the reason why I did that, GPTX is the acronym of the city that I live in, Grand Prairie, Texas. So I figured whenever someone would be on the computer, if they look it up, GPTX junk removal, hopefully I would pop up. And it's actually kind of funny. I've had someone do that. I asked them how they found me, and they said, I just looked up GPTX junk removal, and you were the very first one to pop up. So my idea worked, at least for one person, in 2 months. I don't think that that's bad. And yeah, GPTX junk removal. So I've been doing this for about 2.5 months. I've learned a lot in those 2.5 months. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of good things. And the biggest thing that surprised me, I thought that it was going to take a very long time for me to grow, for things to kind of bounce off. But I was really, really blessed, and I kind of just jumped right into the ocean, to be honest with you. My very first month, my very first week, I made over $3,000 in net sales. My very first month, I grossed over 10K. My second month, I grossed over 10K. And I'm in my third week right now of the third month, and I'm about to hit 9,000. So far, things have been going insanely well. For reference, at my full-time job that I left, I was making roughly 60,000 a year. And so in just a couple of months, I've hit almost half of that, which is insane. I'm very excited for the future. I started in March, we're currently in June, so this is the busy season for the business that I am in. One thing I wanted to mention is kind of the reason why I quit, why I decided to become self-employed in the first place. And I was making a lot of money at my job. I felt I was comfortable, but this is all last year that I was comfortable. Now this year, 2024, my rent went up a lot. My car payment stayed the same, but my rent went up. My car insurance, that went up as well. Groceries, going out to eat. My favorite restaurant, I would go every single day to this place. And just a couple of weeks ago, they raised all their prices by like 20%. I know the owner. I was like, what happened, bro? And he was like, things went up for me too. I had to adjust. And it sucks, but everything went up except I feel like our salaries. Whenever you're working for somebody else, the number one thing that they care about is their bottom line. And so I was at a point where I feel like I peaked out on pay there for what I was doing. I thought that they were paying me pretty fairly for the market rate. But I'm single, I'm by myself. And so all these bills that I had, I was paying on my own. And it was just adding up like constantly, like more and more and more. And I was stressing myself out. I was pulling out of savings every single month. And I realized, if I'm gonna do something, right now is the time to do it. I'm still pretty young, I'm 27. I don't have any kids, I'm single. And so I feel like if I was gonna take this risk, because starting your own business is a huge risk, if I was gonna take that risk, I was gonna have to do it now. And so I realized in December of 2023 that I wanted to leave. And then January 2024, I let my bosses know, hey, I'm gonna give you all like a two-month notice. And so that's what I did. I gave them a 2-month notice for March, for daylight savings time. So in those 2 months, I set up my LLC, I set up my bank account, I did all the paperwork, all the legalities, I got a tax permit, I did this and that. And I also did a ton of research on other companies in the area. And one of those happened to be Junk Guys DFW. So I reached out to Ricardo Hernandez, and I was like, hey, dude, do you think I could schedule like a 30-minute consultation with you? I'm thinking about starting my own business, and I just kind of wanted to see how things are. Super cool guy. He was like, yeah, of course, you can even do a ride along if you want. I was like, awesome. And he was like, hey, I'm also having a summit coming up, a conference for all the companies here in DFW and from all over. You should come. And so I did. It was a 3-day event. I met like 20 different companies. I made some really cool friends, some people I still talk to today. And it was really fun. It was really great. So I made some connections. And then after the summit, Ricardo messaged me and he was like, hey, do you think you could do a couple jobs for me? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. It was my second day working full time, and he was sending me work. So I was like, yeah, of course. And so I did it. He was happy with how it went. And he was like, hey, my guy bailed on me for today. Do you think you could do some hot tubs with me? So I was like, yeah, I've never done a hot tub before. That would be cool. So I go over there. We knock it out. It was awful. So many rats. It was one of the worst hot tubs that I've done. So I was like, yeah, of course, sure thing. And after that, he was like, hey, you want to come work with me again? And I was like, sure. And again and again. And we ended up working every single day together that week. He said he had a lot of good things to say about me.
To these customers and how fast he is when he gets to the job, that he's going to catch on. And in reality, it will help him in the long run. It is such a big blessing for me to have him in my truck and have him in my corner, but I think I'm a blessing to him too. I'm pretty sure I am.
And I was just really, really happy. And he was really happy too. And so we started working together more pretty much every day. And after 2 weeks, I realized that I wasn't putting in any effort. He was just giving me these jobs. I was doing them, and I was kind of thinking, I was like, this isn't what I want to do. I'm basically an employee all over again. And so I told him, hey man, if you could just kind of send me a little less work, I'd appreciate it. I appreciate it already, but I can't grow. And he was super, super understanding. He was like, oh, I didn't realize. I thought you just weren't getting jobs. And I was like, well, it's because I can't look for them. So that week, he kind of stopped calling me as much. And I started networking on my own. So I started using Nextdoor. I started posting on Facebook, on Yelp. I updated my Google website. And surprisingly, I got a lot of work. I thought that those 2 first weeks, I was like, the only reason I'm doing good is because of Ricardo. But it turned out I was doing good because I was putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort into it. I was doing 80-hour weeks. And that's why things were going so good for me. Because when I started posting on my own, going out there, reaching out to people, I was doing just as good, if not better. So now on the second month, I had my jobs, Ricardo had his jobs, and we kind of merged them together. So we would go out there and we would do all the jobs together, which made it a lot easier on us, physically and mentally too. And we just kind of split everything, and it's been working out since. That's kind of what we're doing still right now. He's been a great, great help. Probably I wouldn't be where I am without him, because all the mentorship that he's given me, And so I feel like if you're gonna go and start your own business, whether it be in junk removal, a moving company, power washing, lawn care, whatever company you want to do, I feel like something that's very, very important is that you go out and you find a mentor. Google who the top company in whatever field you are is and call them. Be like, hey, I'm thinking about starting my hair salon, and I noticed that you're number one, you got all these good reviews. Do you think I could just talk to you for a bit, see how you do it? You'd be surprised how much people are willing to teach you. Ricardo, he hasn't charged me a dime a penny. He's just giving me all this information for free, and in return, I'm helping him as much as I can with whatever jobs. But I feel like that applies to any industry. Before this, I was in car sales. I feel like if you own a car dealership and then you go out and you talk to 5 other business owners in the car dealer industry, they're going to give you a lot of info, a lot of tips, things you might not know, might not expect. It's a win-win for everybody. So highly, highly recommend that. Other self-employment things I kind of wanted to talk about. You got to invest. You got to invest a lot of money into yourself and into your own business. I've made a significant amount of money while I've been doing this for the past couple months. I started out with about $5,000. That bought my trailer, that bought my dolly, all the equipment I needed, all the registration. It was $5K. And then as soon as I made another $5,000, I bought a second trailer. So I started out with the 12-foot one, and now I have a 16-foot. And I have both of them, and I use both of them every day. And the reason I did that is because you get so many jobs throughout the day that it's impossible to empty your trailer halfway through and retain all that. So now that I have two, they're both empty. I can go and park one and then hook up to the other one, and I'm golden. I'm good to go. I can keep going for the day. Another thing I invested in is a new truck. So I had a truck already. It was a Nissan Frontier, but the issue with it is that it wasn't 4x4. And so I really needed a truck that was 4x4 so that way I could go out to the landfills and not get stuck. And a lot of them, they ask you, is your truck 4x4? And if it's not, they won't let you in. They're like, nope, you can't be here. And so I was having a lot of issues because I couldn't dump. It was really causing me stress, a lot of problems. I was paying more in dump fees because I would go to transfer stations instead of landfills because they're the only place that would take me. So I traded in my Frontier and I bought a Dodge Rebel, a Ram Rebel, whatever it's called, 4x4. The reason I did that, I got a lot of hate about that purchase. People were telling me I should have bought a 2500, a 3500, a dually, this, that, whatever. But I live in downtown Dallas currently. I'm moving to Grand Prairie pretty soon here in 2 months. But the parking here is atrocious. It's very hard to park. Even when you go to customers' houses, it's hard to park. And then I couldn't afford a nice 25 or a 3500. And this is my only vehicle currently. The next purchase I'm going to be doing is a work truck. But currently this is my only vehicle, so I also wanted a truck I could use on my personal days, on my days off, something I would feel comfortable in. And so I wanted a mix between a good work truck and a reliable personal truck, and that was the Ram Rebel. And then what I'm going to do in the future, in the next couple of months, is buy a $5,000 cash, either $250 or $2,500, and that's going to be the work truck. And then if anything ever happens to it, if it breaks down, whatever thing possibly, I can use my personal truck, the Rebel. So that's the reason I did that. But those are two huge, giant purchases. The truck is definitely going to be next. After that, probably another trailer. I want to get one more. And yeah, you gotta invest the money that you get into this business. It's kind of really surprising to me to see that some of these companies that have been along for 2, 3, 4, how many ever years, and they're still using really old equipment. It doesn't really make sense to me, because this is like your baby, really. This is your lifeline. So you got to have a good trailer, market yourself well. But I see these people with a single axle utility trailer, no walls, stuff like that, beating around, when I know that they've been in business for 5 years. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's definitely something that I feel like should improve. If you're gonna take this really seriously, do it for long term, I feel like you definitely should invest the money that you make back into the business. So if I'm going the same trajectory I am now, and I make 6 figures, half of that should go and reinvest into the business. I've bought 2 trailers, I'm buying a third, I wanna buy another truck. You gotta invest in marketing materials, t-shirts, a camera, for example. I'm just using my phone, but a camera, for example. You gotta invest into whatever things you can. You know, I got the DJI mic here. We got a little gimbal setup going. I'm serious about it. And if you are too, if you want to hit these really, really high numbers, you got to invest into your business. So for example, if you're doing a lawn care company, you might just start with a little push mower. Eventually, you're going to have to upgrade, get a bigger mower, get a better weed eater, you know? The more time that you're spending on maintenance, the less time you're going to be out there working, making money. So try to get the best equipment you can with the money you can afford, and just keep on hustling. That's something I learned. And then one more thing I really wanted to touch on before I go. I know this video is getting kind of long. The time, the big time. So everyone was asking me why I wanted to become self-employed, why I wanted to quit. And something I would always tell people is because I wanted to spend more time at home. I wanted to spend more time with my dog. I wanted to be able to travel more, to do all these things. And I was like, I can't do that because I'm working 60 hours a week, because that's what I would work as a mechanic. I'd work 60 hours roughly. And I was like, I would come home tired, just ready to go to bed. I only had Sundays off, but even on Sundays, I did my side jobs because I couldn't afford rent, so I had to also work on Sundays. And I was like, I'm sick of this. I want to work for myself, work 10, 20 hours, go to bed early, wake up late. Man, what a reality check. When you're working 24/7, you really are working 24/7. My first week I logged it, I think I worked 85 hours, and that was just time in the truck. At home I was working on my website, everything else. Second week, 80 hours. Third week, I think it was like 90. It's gotten a little better now that I have better systems, but it's still, all I ever do now is think about my company, my job. I haven't spent any time with my dog. I can't even think about getting a girlfriend, things like this. But I know I'm setting myself up for the future. I know that by working so hard and so long right now, that later on, things are going to be even better for me. And so that's just kind of what I keep having in my head. I'm like, yeah, you're working a lot right now, but in 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to be able to relax a little bit, to kind of have it a little easier, get an employee or two. And so that's just kind of what I'm hoping for. Hopefully it's true. We'll see. Hopefully. And yeah, the time. If you're gonna become self-employed, you gotta be ready to commit. You gotta be ready to hustle, to put in those extra long hours, because that's the only way your business is gonna grow. Whatever you put into the business is exactly what you're gonna get out of the business. And yeah, that's my little video, my little update. If you guys want to follow along more, subscribe to the channel. I think I posted a video here like 2 or 3 years ago, and that was it. And so I'm going to kind of use this to kind of show my journey about junk removal and becoming a self-employed person, just kind of my journey. And then if you want to follow along with the junk removal videos, just kind of like how I do things, stuff like that, like the actual junk removal part, I have a separate channel, and that's going to be GPTX Junk Removal. So you can look it up, GPTX Junk Removal. That's where I'm going to be posting everything about like how I removed the fridge today, I removed the couch, I did this hoarder clean out, I did this garage clean out. That's all going to be on that channel. And then this channel, I'm going to be using kind of for educational videos, talking about life, things like that. I don't want to mix the two, because I was thinking, if somebody looks up my company, GPTX Junk Removal, they're probably going to be looking for services. And if I'm over there talking about how I made $10,000 this month, they might be like, I'm not going to hire that guy, or whatever, Or if I'm talking about like complaining, whatever, I want to keep it separate. And I feel like you should do that in any part of life. I feel like you should have your personal life and your work life. When you're self-employed, it's hard because those two kind of mingle, but I'm going to try to keep them separate with this YouTube channel. So we're coming up on about 20 minutes, so I'm going to get going. But if you like this video, like, subscribe, give me a shout out, leave a comment, and hopefully I can talk to some of you guys. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.